leaving the LA Clippers on a 4-year, $212 million deal to join the Philadelphia 76ers. CC, this was a move that Philadelphia had to do.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's necessarily the right move, but it is the move they had to do. When you clear out all this salary cap space, to your fans, you can't necessarily bring in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Derrick Jones Jr. That wasn't going to be enough for them, even though maybe that would have been better theoretically, but they had to do it, and they got it done.
Well, it was the right move for Philadelphia to make, just like it was the right move for the LA Clippers to make once upon a time when they traded SGA to Oklahoma City to land Paul George, because Paul George came along with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if you look at the situation with the Sixers, you have to convince Joel Embiid that he has an opportunity to contend for a title in a Sixers uniform. And the only way to do that with all of this cap space is to be ultra aggressive and go out there and get a max caliber player. Now, is Paul George the guy that we knew back when he played for Oklahoma City or when he played for the Indiana Pacers? No, he's not that same version of himself. He's not the same guy that you could rely on to play, 70-plus games every single year, even though he played 70 games this past year. That was the first time he had done that in the last 5 seasons. But you got the best version of him because he was in a contract year. All of that to be said, if you're Joel Embiid, the Philadelphia 76ers had to show you that they were going to put another player around you that can take pressure off you during the regular season, another player around you that can create offense on his own, create offense for others once we get into postseason in these series against the upper echelon teams. And I think that's what the Paul George move signifies. Now, do I think this makes them markedly better in the Eastern Conference? No. I don't think this puts them on par with the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think this puts them right there with the New York Knicks. I don't think this puts them there with the Boston Celtics. I have them as the 4th best team in the Eastern Conference. And guess what? Last year when Joel Embiid was healthy, they were around the 4th best team in the Eastern Conference. So congratulations, Daryl Morey. You made the move to save your job, to assuage and appease Joel Embiid in the short term, but I don't think this does anything in terms of making the Philadelphia 76ers a real title contender.
I think you nailed it, because I think the modern-day NBA, what we're looking at now with the new rules around the league, is about having as many good players as possible on both offense and defense, right? And Paul George is great when he's healthy on offense and defense, but you need as many of these guys as possible. Now, Philly made some other moves in bringing back Kelly Oubre.
I thought that was a smart move.
That was a smart move. They bring in Eric Gordon from Phoenix, who Morey has experience with from their days in Houston. They bring back Andre Drummond, who they had years ago as a backup center. I happen to like that move. 2 years, $10 million.
Yep.
So they made some good moves around the margins here, but they are made up as a big three. And in the world that we live in right now in the NBA, big threes are not what everybody's doing. So it's weird to think that maybe Philly zigged when everybody was zagging, or they zagged when everybody was zigging, however you want to look at it. Brian Windhorst, though, gave you the breakdown on game night last night here on ESPN Radio as to the real reason that Paul George is on the Philadelphia 76ers.
He's not choosing the 76ers as much as that was the choice that was left to him. That's a very good point. He's not at the team that will pay me a max player store. He doesn't get to choose between 7. He's pretty much down to 1 because the Warriors were very interested in trading for him, but they couldn't make a deal with the Clippers. His only way to get to the Warriors was to be traded there. And it's the same reason, because the Warriors didn't, to trade Paul George, they'd have to take back a bunch of other players to make the salaries work, and they would have been in the same boat. And that left him with the teams that had cap space. Well, the teams that had cap space are teams like Washington, Detroit, Orlando, and Philadelphia. And the two that he could pallet were Orlando and Philadelphia. And Orlando was like, hey, thanks for including us, but by the way, we're going to do another deal. We're going to go sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Good luck to you. And that left Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, where else was Paul George going to go? Where else was he going to get that kind of contract?
The Clippers?
The Clippers,
but not 4
Clippers were
years.
only going to give him 3 years.
I know. I think he should have gone back.
Well, you can say you think he should have gone back. My only thing with that whole situation with L.A. is they actually start to act like a functional franchise by showing some level of discipline, some level of restraint, and everybody kills them for it. And I don't understand why. I don't understand the criticism directed toward the L.A. Clippers for drawing a line in the sand when it comes to Paul George and not giving him the 4th year.
That's an interesting take. We'll get to the Clippers part of it in the next segment, because I think that's really interesting what you're just bringing up, because all the rumors were they had opportunities to make a trade and they didn't want to do that, which would have actually continued to have that high level of salary, which would not allow you to do other things. From a Philadelphia standpoint, you said something, and I agree with, 4th seed at best. right? That's how I look at them right now. Tim Bontemps, who's going to join us, ESPN NBA Insider, in the 7 a.m. Eastern hour, said they have the best big three in the NBA right now. I'm not sure I agree with that. Am I sure when healthy that their big three is better than Milwaukee's if I put Middleton in there, who I think is a cold-blooded killer in big moments?
No.
I would take Milwaukee's over theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, Giannis has won a championship.
Their big three is not better than Boston's big three.
And who do you have as the third? Jrue Holiday?
Yeah. Their big three is not as good as them. It's just not.
It's positionally a great big three, right? You have a point guard, a wing, and a center, but that's not really 100% what's necessary
and
at all
here's the other thing that you got to bake in there, Ev. Health. Joel Embiid, Paul George, those guys don't stay healthy. They just don't. Think about this. In the 5 years that PG and Kawhi were together in L.A., those guys played in 181 games together. That's 36 games a year. 181 games together. If you want to frame it differently, they played 2 full regular seasons worth of games together. That's it. That's it. That's just not that's what I'm relying on. And here's a news flash for all of the sports fans out there. Athletes, when they get older, they don't get healthier.
Right.
And Paul George and Joel Embiid are on the wrong side of 30. I understand why Philadelphia did it. I understand that desperation makes for interesting bedfellows. Daryl Morey had no choice.
Agreed.
After the disaster that was James Harden, after all of the nonsense with Ben Simmons, after the cap issues with Tobias Harris and all of those other guys that they had on bad contracts, I get why they did it. It made all of the sense in the world when you have all of this cap space to show Embiid that you're going to be aggressive, because you don't want Embiid in a position where he feels like he's got to ask out to try to salvage the prime of his career. All of it makes sense. The rationale is completely logical, but I just don't think it's going to equate to them getting to where they want to go. I still look at this team as, a second-round exit, a team that's capable of winning a playoff series, but a team that's highly unlikely to get to the championship round.
I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Now, there's one other part of this from a Philly perspective. You played in the NFL for 11 years. You played in high-pressure situations in Dallas, with the Giants, and in Baltimore. You were never in a situation where your team was not in a high-pressure scenario. Paul George in his NBA career so far has played in Indiana, great basketball market. Pressure is a little different. Yeah. Oklahoma City, great basketball market. Pressure not there. Mm-hmm. LA with the other team, not your team, the Lakers. But now he goes to Philadelphia. Is he made up for this? Is he made up for what a bad week in Philly looks like versus a bad week with the Clippers? Is he made up for, and I don't know him, and I don't want to say he's not. I think the question has to be asked of, you are now in a different life situation than you were a week ago in your hometown with a team that, let's be honest, not as many people care about as they do the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
That you miss a week for a sprained ankle, and with the Clippers, nobody cares. You miss a week for a sprained ankle with the Sixers, all hell breaks loose.
Well, here's what's going to save him. Nobody in Philadelphia is going to care about what the regular season looks like. They just want to know that Paul George is healthy and available in the playoffs. They just want to know that Embiid is ready to go when April and May get here. That's all they want. Like, in regular season basketball, how much does it matter? Like that's the point that we already saw this past postseason that seeding doesn't necessarily equate to a team getting to the championship rounds. Think about the Dallas Mavs. They went to the NBA Finals. They were the 5th seed in the West. So, I mean, how much does seeding matter? I guess avoiding being a play-in team matters,